Okay, salutations and a clenched fist salute, my YouTube renegades. Welcome y bienvenidos to the one and only Outlaw News. The voice of the barrio, the voice of the vato loco, the voice of the voiceless. Que pasa, cyber raza? The only YouTube channel where thinking critical is a must. So strap them critical thinking beanies on and lace your Cortezes extra tight, cyber posse, because it's time to get activated and push that line of righteousness against evil. And today's evil is one registered rapist. Repeat, registered rapist. Rene, almost Boxer Enriquez. Some of you may or may have not heard yet. I'm pretty sure you have, because the snitch influencer community has been saturating their content with praises of how one Rene Boxer Enriquez has been granted parole and will soon be released on the streets to rape and assault another woman again.
And Firehouse Publishing has just announced that Boxer Enriquez was granted parole and he's released. Man, congratulations, Boxer.
So instead of doing what all the other snitch influencers and YouTubers are doing and praising and glorifying and rationalizing why a registered known rapist is given a third chance to come out and rape and assault another woman, the outlaw is going to the outlaw is going to do two things today. One, we're going to react to the comments and statements made by snitch influencers and their fanboy groupies today. Also, I'm going to give you a real in-depth perspective profile on who the real Rene Boxer Enriquez is. First, let's begin by dedicating today's show to all of Rene Rapist Boxer Enriquez's victims. Everyone he's victimized, sexually assaulted, murdered, or robbed, or done anything to, this show is dedicated for you today, especially the ones he killed, such as Cynthia Galvadon and the young girl he raped in 1981. Today's show is dedicated to them. We're not here to glorify rapists. We're here to tell the truth of who Rene Rapist Enriquez really is. Let's begin today by responding and reacting to the wonderful glamorization that the snitch influencer community has given one registered rapist, Rene Boxer Enriquez, when they found out that he was soon to be released to rape and assault more women. Today we're going to look at two snitch influencer YouTube channels. Program serial killer Mundo Mendoza's channel and Flacco's Inmate Perspectives channel, and how they glamorize one registered rapist, Boxer Enriquez. We'll start off with Mundo first. I'll keep it simple. Did you guys notice in his profile, along with any other time he's ever mentioned publicly one registered rapist, Rene Boxer Enriquez, he never publicly admits to knowing that one registered rapist, Rene Boxer Enriquez, is a known registered rapist and has been convicted of rape. Now I want you to think about that for a moment. Might not seem big deal, maybe, but it is a big deal, because Mundo claims to be an extremely religious person, claims to be very strong of faith. Now I ask you, would this be something Jesus would do? Do you think Jesus would help hide Rene Boxer Enriquez's conviction of rape to help his credibility and to help establish him as a celebrity snitch influencer once he's released on the street? I want you to think about that. He intentionally withholds real information that changes the whole aspect of who that person is. And so does the mainstream media and everyone else that talks about Rene Boxer Enriquez. they do their best to downplay or not mention at all his rape conviction. But if this was Yogi Pinnell, Hugo Yogi Pinnell, they would take every shot to make sure to mention that Yogi Pinnell was convicted and sent to prison for rape. If you're a mainline GP and you've had rumors or somehow related to some sexual charge, oh, they'll take shots at you all day. Any chance they can, they'll bring it up. Pay attention. The news media, snitch influencers, law enforcement, and gang experts, all of them will take every shot they can. But they don't want to mention Joe Morgan's past, and they don't want to mention snitch influencer Rene Boxer Enriquez's rape charge. Okay? Think about that. And that's all I got to say about Mundo for now. Now let's move on to one Flacco from inmates' perspective. It's inmates' perspective, not convicts' perspective. Those who know the difference know that there is a big difference between an inmate and a convict. And they do not fall in the category of a convict. Got nothing to do what they're labeled or who they're affiliated with, but they are not convicts, period. Flacco briefly and slightly quickly mentions Rene Boxer Enriquez's rape charge. But if you guys notice, again, like I do, because I watch these videos and I pay attention, dot every I, and think critically to what they're saying, Flacco was asked not to speak publicly about one registered rapist, Rene Boxer Enriquez's rape charge.
Let me elaborate something, man. About 2 months ago, I was requested by someone that I know that knows this particular individual, just not to put anything more about Boxer or discuss it or whatnot, man. And so I did it.
He was asked not to profile him or speak about his rape charge while he was trying to get granted parole. Now, do you think he personally talks to rapist Rene Boxer Enriquez, or somebody told him, somebody influenced his direction of where his content went? Somebody told him that he could not talk about a certain issue on the show. Okay? Let me explain to you what that is. That's called content control. That is called influence over the content. Someone who he doesn't want to say is, which any of you who's thinking critically should know who it is, right? But I'm a conspiracy theorist. I believe in aliens, right? And crazy conspiracy theories. But out of their own words, they self-admit that someone has influence over their content and what they can and cannot talk about. Like they can't talk about Joe Morgan's snitch past. And they can't talk about Rene Boxer Enriquez's rape conviction, right? And if you paid attention to his video, he kind of sidesteps it and tries to downplay it. And, well, we really don't know what happened, right? We don't know what happened. We don't. But I do know this, that young woman that was gang raped immediately reported that incident. She didn't wait 6 months, years, or till somebody disrespected her and then felt she could use this against them. She reported that gang rape immediately. And he's registered as a forceful sex offender. So this wasn't a consensual thing with somebody underage or something that went different. He forced himself. Okay? Period. There's no downplaying it. He is what he is. Yet these gentlemen who claim to be pushing positive, claim to be of faith and religion, hide the sins of another man. Think about that when I tell you about people's content being controlled. That they are just puppets and someone is telling them what to say, controlling the direction of the narrative. Okay? And let's leave it at that. We'll move on. Well, wait, one more last thing I want to point out. Because usually in a good court of law or anything like that, you have to have corroboration to back up your claims. So I just showed you an incident where these gentlemen admit they are not allowed to speak. Okay? Now we know who tells Mundo what to say, and it's obvious who's telling inmates' perspective what to say. But I want to make sure that this is corroborated, that you understand this isn't a one-time incident. The inmate's perspective has self-admitted in the past of a relationship, of someone who influences their content. Listen, and then tell me if I'm a crazy conspiracy.
This is what I've been told. You know what I'm saying? And this hasn't came from no one that's active. This has came from people who, like I said, that they deal with gang intelligence classification. They have told me that the feds are starting to get more support in the agenda that they're pushing. So,
okay, next time you call me a conspiracy theorist, I want you to remember what you just heard from their own words. Who influences and controls their content. So enough with that crazy conspiracy shit. Unless you're going to drop me a link that proves that I am crazy, or back your claims up as I do with actual corroboration, miss me with that shit. I laugh at you all day. You Manson-like fanboy groupies. Because that's what you are. Period. You can't change it. Just because you don't have a shaved head and your favorite snitch influencer carved into your forehead doesn't mean you don't sound and look as foolish as those dumb girls did in front of Charles Manson's court in 1969. Or was it 1970? Because I think he committed the murder in 69. But you look that foolish. So say what you say. Because that's what that's what I see when I hear you speaking up on these gentlemen. Period. And that's it. Like I said, let's move on. So, moving forward, again, today is the subject. 1, registered rapist. Just look it up on Megan's Law. Rapist. Rene Boxer Enriquez. We need to put Boxer in the proper perspective. Okay? He's not a role model. He's not a hero. And he's not a reformed criminal. He is a registered rapist. Sexual offender of women, sexual abuser of women, and a murderer of women. Okay? Remember this, because this is going to be repeated through this whole video. Known rapist, known abuser of women, and known killer of women. Okay? Strike 1, strike 2, strike 3. Should be out. But yet, you snitch fanboy groupies, please let the man free. Give him another second chance. We're going to talk about that second chance too. Please give the man a second chance. He's done everything to turn his life around. That's why he's shooting up heroin on SNY yards, sexually assaulting other inmates on SNY yards, and getting caught for smuggling drugs to sell on an SNY yard. And that's why he's classified as a member of an SNY gang, right? Because he changed his life. No, he just changed his loyalties. That's all he did. He went from allegedly being to one group to being part of another criminal group. That's all he did. Period. But let's talk about his parole hearing for a moment, because this is important. Your parole hearing, you usually try to get the best people to appear before you, speak up on you, people of great credibility, non-criminals, people that come up to bat and can say stuff about you to get you out. I want to point out one thing who spoke up and vouched for him. Programmed serial killer, compulsive liar, and phony religious figure, Mundo Mendoza. Think about that for a moment. A registered rapist and known murderer of women and assaulter of women was vouched for by a serial killer. You can downplay whatever you want and say he is whatever he is. You don't know his faith. You don't rock with him because he hides from everybody. Okay? So we don't know what he's like in person. We just know the persona he portrays, the Michael Thompson persona he portrays. But what we do know is he is self-admitted to have killed up to 20 plus people by his own hands. I want you to look up the definition of a serial killer and see how many murders it takes to be a serial killer and see that he has surpassed that number. So when I say serial killer, it is what it is. The label belongs to that man for what he's done, and it can't be changed. He might be a religious guy, but he's a serial killer at one point of his life. Think about that for a moment. That a serial killer vouched for a convicted rapist, abuser of women, and a killer of a woman. That's it. Think about that. And I want to move on, because not only did he vouch for him, he also went, if you listen to his video, on a rant of how he's giving sort of sympathy and condolences and feels sad for Cynthia Galvedon's family and father. If you pay attention, like I did, it's pretty miserable, pathetic what he says. Because immediately after he goes on this feeling sorry for them and woe and his condolences and whatever he was saying about them, he immediately attacks them and claims that they're beneficiaries of illegal gotten gains from their relative who's in prison. Now, I'm not going to debate if it's true or not. I'm not going to say they are making money or this and that, because I don't have the proof myself. But what I am going to say is, has he ever showed you proof? Has anyone ever showed you proof? Have you ever seen a confiscated, seized bank account? An IRS audit that says the money in these inmates' accounts are illegal?
To know how to access the YouTube that
I
you
would love to
referred
give that to you
because I've
because
never
it's been
heard
very,
of that until today.
I think that's
And I'd
been
be
one of the most
interested in-
hardest things, is to see those videos of these prisoners and making these statements, making blanket statements, that he guarantees that all the money on their account is from organized crime. And I showed my church group because they help my son a lot. And, and I guarantee him he could audit my son's account. And they don't give us that voice in back to him, though.
California judge saying that I'm convicting you for possessing thousands of illegal money in your account? That's all I'm saying. Because I want you to remember, 50 years these gangs have been around. Thousands of members between all four major groups. Have you heard of one seized bank account? Okay. And he's over here saying he feels sorry for the family, but immediately attacks them, claiming they're somehow involved in illegal activity. Now, another thing I want to mention, the person who appeared before the board for Cynthia Galvedon's family was Cynthia's father, not Cynthia's father-in-law. The man who appeared before the board is not a Galvedon. Maybe he knows them, maybe he doesn't, maybe he's affiliated with the life, maybe he's not. But did that programmed serial killer show you any evidence? Any corroboration? Or was it just his word, right? The guy who says he's a Christian, but was on drugs as an active informant, orchestrated murders as an active informant, and so-called religious man who hides the rape conviction of another man to help get him out, and downplays the snitching of so-called Godfather legend. Think about that. Be critical. Don't just believe what you're told. The people who tell you, give you corroboration, think about that. Mundo was so narcissistic and full of himself that even during his profile of registered rapist Rene Boxer Enriquez, he touches and tries to compare the similarity of Cynthia Galvadon's death to the 1975 death of one Margaret Day. Are you cyber outlaws, you cyber renegades, aware that Mundo is a prime suspect in that unsolved murder? If you ask Mundo, he'll tell you Alfie Sosa did it. He's the only one. I think they'll probably say Alfie Sosa did it. Alfie Sosa probably was involved in it. But what Mundo doesn't say is that when he appeared on History Channel's Gangland and mysteriously confessed to a murder that haunts him of a woman he killed in the back of a car, which he doesn't want to name.
Mundo had to kill a woman who'd stolen money from the gang. He and 2 associates dragged her into a car, and Mundo shot her, but failed to kill her. In agony, she begged him to end her life.
I had to hold her down and pretend like I was kissing her, and all the time wanting to take her out of her misery, but we were in rush hour traffic.
That's Margaret Day. He's describing Margaret Day's murder. And I know this because in 1978, one Sailor Boy Gonzalez gave an interview to New West Magazine where he also describes the same murder of Margaret Day. And it's a well-known fact that Margaret Day left a note behind stating that she ends up dead. It was Mundo, Sailor, and Alfie that killed her. Think about that. Because again, what is one of the major rules of religion? Thou shalt not lie. Think about that. Margaret Day's murder is unsolved. There's no statute of limitation for murder. Individuals are confessing to these murders, yet they're left alone to be free. Think about that. Now let's talk about the wonderful comments that Rene, registered rapist Enriquez, his wonderful snitch fanboy groupie Cole are leaving for him on all the wonderful profiles that glamorize what a great, wonderful guy, or a rapist he is, and that he should be allowed back on the streets to rape, hurt, and kill women. You see the comments that, oh, he deserves a second chance. Oh, what a great man he is. He's done so much for law enforcement to fight gangs. He has turned his life around and is a new person. These are the comments people are leaving. And I want you to think about this. Do you think any of these people have interactions with this guy? How would they feel if they knew that registered rapist was going to move into their neighborhood, was talking to their loved one on social media about going on a possible date, taking her to a party, having a few drinks? Yeah. People don't think like that, right? They want to go out and praise a registered rapist, right? The average chomo, the average rapist, oh no, get him, do him dirty, oh man, kill him, do all that. I don't believe in that, but I'm just telling you that's what people say, right? But not a celebrity rapist and chomo. He deserves a second chance. He's wonderful. I love him. I would marry him if he got out. Okay? These are the same comments that people write Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker, Charles Manson, and all these sick guys who rape and torture prostitutes and women. those are the same stuff they send them. So I want you to see where I think you fit in that category as individuals in society. I worry because what jobs must you have? What power must you have over people? And you have these views, these desires, these glorifications of these sick people. That's why I call you snitch fanboy groupies, okay? That's why I look down on you. That's why I laugh at you. That's why none of your comments can hurt me. Okay, so now let's begin with profiling registered rapist Rene Boxer Enriquez in the proper perspective that he deserves to be profiled in. First, let's start off with, if you read his book, I'm telling you right now, I've read the book probably 3-4 times and heard it in audiobook about the same amount of times. So I'm well aware of what's in that book. I've heard all his interviews, anything he's ever done, okay? So let's begin. According to him, Rene Boxer Enriquez comes from a good home. That's what he writes in his book. That's what he's always told everybody. Loving father, great brother that he admires, wonderful mom. And this is important to remember because he's always painted a wonderful picture of his family, except in front of the parole board, where he calls them abusive and sexually assaulted him as a minor. That his family members sexually assaulted him when he was a child and abused him. That's what he says in front of the parole board. He doesn't say he has a loving family. He doesn't say his brother was great. He says he was abused and molested. I think it's a lie. I think it's a bunch of Michael Thompson fairy tales saying whatever he has to say to get out. But I want you to realize and think about the level he'll stoop to, the things he will say, the morals he has about what he's willing to use to manipulate people. Like others who pretend to be religious or pretend to be positive pushing anti-gang figures, right? No morals. I want you to think about that for a moment. That this man is willing to smut his family to get out. And if it's true what he says, provide the information. Corroborate your stories. And why have you been telling previously everyone else that you come from a loving family? Yet, only in front of the parole board, you're sexually abused and beat, right? Trying to get that sympathy. Play that sympathy card, right? And we're supposed to believe that your rape charge was just a misunderstanding. Yeah. Think about that for a moment, Outlaw Posse. This alternative profile on one celebrity snitch rapist, Rene Boxer Enriquez, is quite long. In order to allow the outlaw to drop a proper, in-depth profile and perspective on who the real Rene celebrity rapist Enriquez is, the outlaw will break up Megan's Law celebrity rapist Enriquez's profile into several videos. Today, your boy, the outlaw, will end celebrity snitch rapist Boxer Enriquez's profile here at his parole hearing. When the outlaw drops the next video, we'll continue and pick up with the young pre-celebrity rapist snitch influencer, Boxer Enriquez, joining the Arca 13 gang at the age of 12. Plus, Megan's Law rapist Rene Enriquez, first time getting sentenced to a California prison. So like, subscribe, and hit the notifications to stay on top of future outlaw videos. You remember, stay strapped with your critical thinking beanies on, outlaw renegades. The outlaw is over and out. Venceremos, raza.